Welcome to Debt Matters. Today we are looking at a deal that, well, on the surface, it seems a world away from the typical overdue invoice.
Yeah, completely different universe. Or so it seems.
Right, or a typical credit control chase. We are looking at a massive move by the UK fund giant Legal in General.
Huge move.
They just announced a commitment of up to $1 billion. And that is over the next 5 years.
It is a massive number. And it is strictly focused on a very specific type of financial architecture.
It is. Specifically, they are moving into the world of debt-for-nature swaps.
In developing countries, mostly.
Exactly. Now, usually when we see headlines about global finance or, international conservation, it is really easy to tune out.
Oh, for sure.
Especially if you are a credit manager in Manchester or a CFO in London.
You see a headline like that, you think, okay, that is great for the rainforest.
Right. Great for the rainforest, but it doesn't help me get paid on this 90-day overdue account.
Yeah, that is a completely natural reaction. I mean, why would you care?
Exactly. But, and this is why we are talking about it today, the mechanics behind this deal, the actual nuts and bolts of how they are structuring it, they are essentially a masterclass in credit risk.
It really is a perfect case study.
It is a masterclass in enforcement and deal-making. What caught my eye here isn't just the environmental aspect.
Though that is obviously the big headline.
Right, the headline grabs you.
Yeah.
But it is the underlying logic they are using that matters to us. They are using financial guarantees to turn what looks like risky, bad debt into a highly secure investment.
And that translation is the key to everything we are going to cover today.
I agree completely.
If you strip away the billions of dollars and you strip away the international politics...
Just look at the bones of it.
Exactly. Look at the bones. The underlying principle is exactly the same as recovering a commercial debt in the UK market. It is entirely about how you view the asset and how you secure it.
So let's unpack this Legal in General announcement first. What exactly have they committed to?
Well, Legal in General, which is Britain's biggest asset manager, is positioning itself as a cornerstone investor.
Okay.
They are putting up this $1 billion to back these specific debt-for-nature swaps.
And just to clarify the timeline, that is over the next 5 years.
Correct. Over 5 years. The goal is to facilitate these transactions where a government's existing debt is replaced.
And this existing debt is usually very expensive for them to service, right?
It's very expensive. Because the market views that sovereign debt as high risk, so the interest rates are punishing.
So it gets replaced. Replaced with what?
With cheaper debt.
Okay, cheaper debt.
And the reason it is cheaper is the critical part.
Let's break that down.
The savings that represent the difference between the old expensive interest payments and the new cheaper payments, that difference is then legally committed to conservation outcomes.
So in plain English, for anyone listening, it is basically a refinance.
Essentially, yes. It is a massive, complex refinance.
Like a mortgage.
Imagine a homeowner with a credit card at 20% interest.
Barely making the minimum payments every month.
Exactly. They are drowning in the interest. Now, if they can swap that for a loan at, say, 5%, they suddenly have all this extra cash flow every single month.
Right. But in this scenario, that extra cash flow doesn't go toward buying a new car.
No, it goes directly into a protected fund to look after nature. It is ring-fenced.
Okay, that makes sense. And L&G isn't entirely new to this space, are they?
No, they actually have quite a track record. They backed the Galapagos swap in Ecuador back in 2023.
Oh, right.
And they have done deals in Belize and Gabon.
So they know exactly how these structures work.
They do. But this new commitment acts as a massive accelerator for them. It nearly doubles their total investment in nature conservation and sustainable development in emerging markets.
Takes it up to what, $2.4 billion?
Roughly $2.4 billion, yes.
And just for context for the listener, the total market for these specific deals over the last 5 years is around $6 billion.
Total, across everyone.
So L&G is taking a very large slice of this pie.
They are becoming a truly dominant player in this space. And we really have to ask why this is happening right now.
Because there was a bit of a slowdown recently, wasn't there?
There was a noticeable slowdown in these types of deals.
Why did they slow down if they work so well?
It all came down to risk support. Specifically, there was a reduced availability of political risk support from the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation.
Oh, why?
That body had effectively underpinned a lot of the prior swaps. They provided the safety net.
And when that support wavered, the deals just slowed down.
Exactly. because the perceived risk went up.
Which means the investors got nervous.
Precisely. And that is exactly the friction point where L&G is stepping in. They're stepping in to keep the momentum going because they see a clear way to manage that risk themselves.
That brings us perfectly to the core of why we are talking about this today. We looked at the mechanics here and identified 3 specific lessons that apply directly to anyone managing a ledger or chasing commercial debt.
Practical, everyday lessons.
Yes. The first lesson is about the power of the guarantee.
This is really the pivot point of the whole conversation.
Right. We have to move away from thinking about this as purely a save the whales or save the rainforest project.
We need to start thinking about it strictly as a financial instrument.
Because the only reason these swaps actually work
The only reason a sovereign government can trade expensive debt for cheap debt
is because someone provides a guarantee.
completely. In these global deals, you have a credit guarantee and often political risk protection layered on top.
And those layers of protection push the new debt up into what the market calls investment-grade quality.
Right. So without the guarantee, it is basically junk status.
Or at least high risk, high yield, very volatile.
But with the guarantee, it suddenly becomes safe. And big capital, like major pension funds, they can only invest in safe things. They have strict mandates.
So once you lock in the guarantee, you unlock that massive pool of capital.
The risk is managed, so the money just flows.
Let's bring this right down to the ground level for you listening. How does this macro finance concept parallel to standard UK B2B collections?
Think about why a debt collector or a credit controller struggles to collect an invoice.
It is almost always about uncertainty.
Always. Is the debtor actually going to pay? Do they even have the cash?
Is the paperwork in order?
Exactly. So the guarantee in a global billion-dollar deal is entirely analogous to removing those question marks in a standard collection case.
In a UK business context, you reduce that uncertainty through strong documentation.
Yes. If you have a signed contract, clear liability, and a highly predictable enforcement route, you have essentially guaranteed the outcome to a much higher degree.
It is all about leverage.
It is credible leverage. If I know that I can take you to court tomorrow and win because my paperwork is flawless, that is my guarantee.
Or if you have a personal guarantee from a company director.
That is the ultimate guarantee in the SME space.
And the big takeaway here is really about pricing and speed.
When you reduce the risk for the party funding the outcome, in this case, the creditor deals just happen faster.
So if you are a business owner and you have de-risked your sales ledger by having ironclad contracts and solid guarantees, you are going to get paid faster than the vendor who just relies on a handshake.
Because the debtor inherently knows you are the investment-grade creditor.
You are the one with the actual power.
Exactly. You have structured your position to be the absolute priority when cash is tight.
Which leads us nicely into the second lesson we pulled from this. It is about the nature of the solution itself. We're calling this restructuring versus forgiving.
This requires a bit of a mindset shift for a lot of credit professionals.
It does. Often when we hear the word restructuring in the credit world, there is a collective groan.
Right. It sounds like the debtor is just getting away with something.
It feels like a loss, feels like a concession.
But we really need to reframe that thought process. Look closely at what L&G is actually doing with these countries.
They aren't just forgiving the debt and walking away hoping for the best.
Not at all. They are completely re-engineering it.
They are repackaging it.
Repackaging, repricing, and critically resecuring it. They are looking at the board and saying, okay, the current setup clearly isn't working. The interest is too high. You simply can't pay. And we are stuck at a stalemate.
So let's change the terms.
Let's change the terms to something realistic.
But, and this is the absolute crucial part of the L&G strategy, there are conditions attached.
Always new conditions. In the debt for nature swap, the strict condition is mandatory conservation spending.
The government must spend those exact savings on nature.
It is absolutely not free money. It is highly audited.
So how does that framework look for a UK business that is chasing an overdue invoice?
It means you don't just pick up the phone and say, okay, pay me whenever you can. You re-engineer the debt.
You take control of the structure.
You say, I will accept a payment plan, but here are the strict new conditions.
You set milestones.
Milestones, strict timelines.
Maybe you get a confession of judgment in place.
Or a formal settlement agreement that explicitly says if they miss even one single payment by one day, the full original amount becomes due immediately.
That is your breach trigger.
That is the breach trigger. You are trading a little bit of time, that is the restructuring part, for a massively stronger security position.
So the core analysis here is that the smartest recovery isn't always just aggressively banging on the door, demanding the full amount today when they clearly don't have it.
No, it is about creating a structured, airtight solution that actively ensures compliance.
It is about changing the terms to make payment inevitable, rather than just applying pressure to a brick wall.
Because banging your head against a brick wall doesn't get you paid. Re-engineering the deal does.
That is a great way to put it. Let's move on to our third lesson from the L&G strategy, which is all about speed.
Speed as your ultimate competitive edge.
The L&G strategy explicitly aims to make these complex sovereign transactions quicker.
They are doing that by offering a comprehensive package of backers up front.
All right, so they don't have to spend months running around the market trying to find different investors to piece the deal together.
They want to close the deal fast.
Because in finance, time kills deals.
And in collections, time kills recovery. It really is that simple.
It is the single most critical variable, isn't it?
Without a doubt. Think about what actually happens in the real world when a balance just sits on a ledger for 6 months.
It gets progressively harder to contact the actual people who made the deal in the first place.
The decision makers move on. The procurement person who signed the PO leaves the company.
Or the business gets sold. And meanwhile, the debtor's financial situation might rapidly deteriorate.
If they are struggling to pay you on day 30, they are probably struggling to pay others. If you wait around until day 90, you are just falling further down the queue.
And then competing creditors emerge.
Suddenly, you aren't the only one chasing them. You are one of 10 angry voices. And here is another classic thing that happens with time disputes suddenly surface.
Oh, absolutely. We see this all the time. The invoice is completely ignored for 3 months. Not a word.
And then suddenly, the moment you push hard with a final demand, they miraculously claim the goods were damaged.
Where the service wasn't up to standard.
Exactly. A dispute that was completely non-existent on day 1 magically appears on day 90 just to delay payment even further.
So looking at this through a systems thinking lens, just like L&G is actively trying to compress the timeline for these massive swaps, B2B businesses need to compress their own recovery timelines.
Systems that compress timelines will always improve your outcomes.
This could be implementing rigid pre-action processes.
It could be much tighter credit control cycles, calling on day 1 overdue instead of day 14.
Or just having your evidence ready from the start so you don't have to spend 3 weeks digging through emails trying to find a proof of delivery.
Speed isn't just about rushing recklessly. It is about pure efficiency.
It's about maintaining momentum.
You want to maintain the absolute momentum of the transaction from the moment the invoice is raised until the cash hits your bank.
Okay, we have broken down the high-level concepts pretty thoroughly. We have the guarantee, the re-engineering, and speed.
The 3 pillars.
Now, let's do what we always try to do here and translate this abstract finance news into a highly practical playbook, the B2B playbook.
Let's make this actionable for the listener right now.
If you are a UK business owner or
Yeah.
you are sitting in a finance team listening to this, how do you actually apply the L&G strategy to your Tuesday morning?
We have put together a 4-step checklist based on this logic.
Step 1, de-risk early.
This goes directly back to the guarantee concept we discussed. You obviously cannot always get a formal bank guarantee for a standard small trade deal, but you can absolutely tighten your terms of trade.
Simple things like confirming purchase orders properly.
Get it in writing. It sounds incredibly basic, but so many commercial disputes happen simply because the initial scope wasn't crystal clear.
Get the client's acceptance in writing before you start the work.
That right there is your uncertainty reduction. You are building the foundation of an investment-grade debt from day 1.
Step 2 in the playbook, add structure.
This is the restructuring lesson applied. Don't just blindly ask for money when things go wrong. If a debtor is visibly wobbling, use a staged payment plan.
But not just a casual verbal, pay me 50 quid a week when you can.
No, absolutely not. Use a written settlement agreement. Make it highly formal. You have to treat it like an entirely new contract.
Establish clear, unambiguous triggers.
Exactly. The agreement needs to say, if you fail to pay the agreed installment on the 1st of the month, the entire deal is off and we proceed directly to legal action.
That kind of clarity really focuses the debtor's mind.
It stops the excuses.
Step 3, protect the downside.
This is all about securing your leverage. Use guarantees wherever it is commercially possible. Personal guarantees from company directors are the gold standard in SME credit.
What about the utilization of retention of title clauses?
Crucial. If you sell physical goods, ensure your terms say you still legally own those goods until the invoice is paid in full.
That is a very powerful form of security.
It functionally turns what would be an unsecured debt into a secured one.
And doing better onboarding checks initially.
Know exactly who you are dealing with before you ship a single box. That is the ultimate form of risk management.
Finally, step 4, move quicker.
You have to move quicker than the problem itself.
The absolute best time to act is immediately.
When the invoice goes overdue, not 90 days later, not after you have sent 3 polite, automated emails that get ignored.
The very moment the credit term is breached, the clock starts ticking against you.
The value of that debt is decaying every single day.
So just to quickly recap the 3 core pillars we have pulled from this massive LNG announcement.
Pillar 1, reduce uncertainty. Use basic guarantees and strong documentation to make your commercial debt investment grade.
Pillar 2, re-engineer the deal. Don't just forgive late payments. Actively structure the solution with strict new conditions.
And Pillar 3, speed. Compress your recovery timeline to beat the natural decay of the debt.
It is a totally different way of looking at a news story about billions of dollars in rainforest conservation, isn't it?
It really connects, though. Finance is finance, whether it is sovereign debt restructuring in Ecuador or a builder's merchant chasing a 5,000-pound invoice in Leeds.
The underlying laws of leverage apply absolutely everywhere.
The mechanics do not change, only the scale changes.
I want to leave you with a final thought today. The next time you sit down and look at your aged debtors list, don't just see those lines as dead ends or massive annoyances.
See them as deals waiting to be re-engineered.
Exactly. Look at that list and ask yourself, what is the specific guarantee I can introduce here today? How can I actively restructure this dynamic to make payment inevitable?
It completely changes your internal dynamic from feeling helpless to being highly proactive.
If you know someone who deals with late payments, and let's be honest, in this current economic climate, who doesn't, please share this conversation with them.
It might just change exactly how they approach their next difficult customer conversation.
Thank you for listening to Debt Matters. We will catch you next time.